Right, friends, you might notice I'm outside today. The sun is blaring down. It's just not long gone midday. I'm outside with my shirt off under our tree in the shade. It's fantastic, and I am continuing with this neck. And I've just about got it all sanded. Got a little patch to do on the back there. Got all the front done, got the sides done. I'm leaving. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see better. I'm leaving my name, the date on there, which is June 25th, 1984, day before my birthday. Not when I was born in 84, I was born in 65, you know how that works. And there's a name there, J. Torres. I'm going to leave on, but all the rest is going to be sanded off. Awkward areas are these sort of areas in here, which I've all done. This has all been done by hand. In fact, the whole lot's been done by hand. It's taken ages. He said about at least 15-16 hours just on my sanding. This is all free work. I'm doing this for nothing as a project. And I aim to get all this off today and get it all sanded smooth with 400 grit. There are lines we don't have. I've got to try and get rid of all them lines. If we don't get rid of them all, I'm not that bothered. Yes, I'm doing a free job. It's going to be resprayed. Going over to Beaver Guitars this weekend or Monday at the latest. Probably Monday because I'm going out tomorrow. I'm in Cambridge tomorrow and I've got people over on Sunday. I don't work Sundays anyway. I don't do anything Sunday. So I'm going to crack on with this. I'm using just at the moment 240 grit paper, doing it all by hand. Donning my gloves, worn the gloves today. Like I say, that's going to be an awkward area, but we'll get it done. This will be, I left this bit more or less to last because that'll be quite an easy bit compared to this bit, or how this bit went. So I'm going to cut me some paper. There's little bits here I've just got to get off. And once this is all done, I'll smooth it all off with 400 grit. Like I say, I'm going to be using 240 right now. Might get to use my flat pad in a bit. I don't know. We'll see how we go. See how I go doing it by hand. So I'm just going to cut off a piece of paper. And it's just a matter of just sanding slowly, taking my time, and not getting too deep into the neck. So I'll come back later with an update. So that's it. All the main sanding is done. There you go. I've left the names intact. I might remove a little bit more of that, but there is still a little bit of staining. Let me zoom in certain areas, like some areas around here where the stain's just gone too deep. In this area on the back there and in these arcs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly stain this. I've got a good Rustin's teak stain in the workshop. There's a few more areas of lacquer I've got to remove. But I'm going to very lightly stain this, so you're only going to be a shade or so darker than it is now, so it's still going to be light, but you're not going to see this yellowing effect around here. I don't want to sand anymore because I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to compromise the actual structure and thickness or shape of the guitar itself. So what remains to be done now is I need to sand all this with 400 grit, which I will do on Monday, and I'll also stain, once that's done, I'll stain it probably Monday afternoon, and hopefully see how it's dried at Tuesday. If it's done, if it's dried nice and it's good Tuesday, I will take it over to Beaver Guitars for a respray. Otherwise I will go to Beaver Guitars on Wednesday. Also go to Beaver Guitars, depends on the weather, because my wife is doing a photo shoot over there with some guitars, so that will determine that. It is now just gone 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. I am now officially knocked off until Monday. I've been working with an injured hand, well specifically a thumb, but I've not done anything in the workshop for 3 days. Everyone knows about that, and I've cancelled 2 jobs, one tonight, one tomorrow, because of my injured hand. Yeah, I've carried on with this, but it's not heavy duty work, so I am done now until Monday. I also have burns on my fingers, sanding burns. Well, I wasn't watching what I was doing. I've got my hand's been running across the across this table. I tell you what, I've got a good splinter in there, and that needs to come out. I'll get that splinter removed shortly. It's gone right across my finger as well, dirty little git. I'll get that splinter out shortly, but that's it for this weekend. So come back for the next part of this, and have a good weekend, and I will see you soon. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to enjoy it. Oh, I've already cracked open a beer. Cheers everyone. Later. Okay, I don't know where I was in the last part of the video, so I'm just going to start from where I am right now. And the whole neck is sanded with 240 grit. I've left on certain areas like that which is not going to be seen, because I wanted to leave the name intact there, J. Torres. I also want to leave the June 25th 1984 date intact there. It's all going to be hidden. and you'll see that the neck looks pretty good. It's darker down here than it is up here. There's a reason for that. You'll see here that there are lines, vertical lines going down there, and I need to get rid of them, and that is it is not an easy job to do. And you'll see I've already done this end, and now I'm doing it is I made myself up a strip of, I got some takeaway cartons, made myself up some strips of plastic, all different thicknesses, blah 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 blah, and I've got loads over here, all these different thicknesses as you see. And then I placed on some masking tape, then some double-sided sticky tape, and some 400 grit paper. So you'll see under there, masking tape, double-sided sticky tape. The reason I use masking tape underneath is when I come to peel this off, it can peel off real easily. Double-sided sticky tape doesn't. So the double-sided sticky tape does not touch the plastic. It makes it easier to make new ones. And what I'm doing is, in short, going between the frets, I'm going up and down first, then I'm getting a thin strip and going with it, probably easy to show on here. I will go up and down first on a wider one, then I'll come in with a thinner one, and I'll go across left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. And I have lots of steel wool all rolled up to different sizes. It's the finest grade steel wool you can get, and when I'm finishing them off, I'm coming across and I'm going I've then got horizontal lines in there, and then rubbing it off with steel wool, and then coming in with even smaller piece and just going across the grain. And that is removing most of the horizontal lines. Not all, it's not 100%, but it is looking a lot better. I mean, look at this end. Ashley is going to be really pleased with that. So I've got to go move on to this end now. I've done a couple down here, I've still got to finish them off yet, and I've got to do these down here. Once that's done, I will steel wool the whole guitar. Still a bit dark over here. I don't want to remove any more material, so if it's not light enough when I've steel wooled it, and some patches here, I'm going to very lightly stain this before it goes to the spray shops. Going to the spray shop, it is booked in at Beaver Guitars. That is going on Monday morning. I'm going to kill in about 4 birds with 1 stone there, because I've got to pick up a guitar, drop off 2 guitars, and my wife's doing a photo shoot for Beaver Guitars new posters. So we picked Monday because it's going to be a glorious day on Monday according to the weather report. So I'm going to crack on with this. Like I say, didn't want it not stained, but we're not going to go for the not stained. I'm going to stain it ever so lightly, just a shade darker than it is now, just so we don't have to sand off any more material and sand off these areas, which I don't want. I don't want to make this thinner than it ought to be. I want to keep it as close to original spec as possible. So I'm going to crack on. When it's done, I'll show you how we got on, how it looks before we take it over to the paint shop. And here we are, folks, and the guitar, or the neck, is back from Beaver Guitars where it's been sprayed or it's been lacquered. Look at the decal there. You wouldn't know that had been changed, would you? It's exactly the same as the original one. But the neck has come back, and the frets have somehow, they haven't jumped out of the slots, but they're not level again. Don't know why this has happened. Maybe humidity or something, I don't know, or maybe I just didn't have my neck set right when I leveled them last time. So I'm going to re-level these frets. So it's going to be another 3 or 4 hours on top of what I've already done. That aside, I did say I'd do it for nothing, so there was no point complaining I've worked an extra 20 hours. But what I did do was, Clive actually met me in Nottingham, thought he'd do me a favour, which he was doing me a favour. Rather than me drive to Grantham 33 miles, I drive to Nottingham, which is 12 miles. And I went there and I picked up the neck, and on leaving Clive, and he'd gone and blah blah blah, and I went and reversed into a telegraph pole, causing, what's that going to cost me to fix? 250 quid. So I've caused 250 quid's worth of damage on my car. So it's just the way things goes normally, isn't it? It's the way things go, so no problem. But anyway, here is the neck, back from Beaver Guitars. Going to re-level the frets, re-crown them, and we can finally get this back on the guitar and get the guitar back to its owner. You also see I put a nut on there before it got sprayed. It's very high, which means I can cut the nut down. But the good thing about it is it's all lacquered over the edges, so it is nice and flush to the edge. It feels beautiful, it looks beautiful. May cause a bit of a hindrance leveling the frets with the nut on there, but I'll take my time. We're going to get this absolutely fantastic. What do you think to the colour? Much better than it was, isn't it? A lot lighter, more like it how it should be. So at least Ashley's going to be really pleased with this. I'm looking forward to getting this done, and he can come and pick this up at the weekend. I'm sure he's going to be pleased with it. So as you were, I've just levelled the frets again. We have not damaged the nut, So now I'm going to move on to recrowning and polishing. Good morning guys, and it is morning, it's just gone 7 AM. Saturday morning. I have unfortunately spent 2 days at the garage doing the MOT work on my guitar, which has knocked me back a couple of days, but I'm up bright and early this morning to finish this guitar, and I've put the neck back on the guitar, and look at this stunning guitar now. Look at that neck, absolutely beautiful. The new decal on there basically replicates the old one exactly. It's an exact copy. The two stamped names inside the neck here and on the heel inside and on the edge I've kept intact. Like I said, you will not see them with the neck back on the guitar, but that's all there. I can assure you that the guitar looks absolutely stunning. Now I have had to level the frets again, re-radius them and re-polish them, but you know that, and they've come out absolutely beautiful. So now what remains for me to do is, the nut is very, very high. It's a blank. I put it on before the respray, just so I know it'll be the right colour and everything. So I'm going to cut that nut by hand. I'm going to file it right down in a moment when I get it on the other bench, and we are going to get some strings on. And told Ashley I could pick this up tomorrow. Now I'm going to a wedding today, but I'm not going to a wedding till lunchtime. And I woke up at 6 and I thought, you know what, I'll get up there and get that guitar done for Ashley. So this will be done for tomorrow. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on, and I'm going to come back once I've got the nut cut, got the strings on, got it set up. We'll come back and we'll have a little go on it, shall we? I think we might do. So I'm just about finishing off how I want the nut cut, and I've shaped the edges and I've removed a millimetre or two from the top. And I'm just finishing off shaping where I want it to be. Now I always tape up the neck and fingerboard because I don't want to cut into anything. Now I'm using a 3-edge file, no ground edges on this one, but it's a nice sharp file. And I bought this with the intention of grounding the edges to use for frets, but I'm not going. I use it just for cutting nuts. And all I'm really doing now is shaping the top to where I need it to be before I cut the slots. And this will not be the final height, but it will get me close to where I want to be. So what I'm going to do is, that's enough. Nice rounded edge there. I can always round them off a bit more later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my string spacing rule, and I do believe I'm going to mark it round about here. And this has spacers, and you move it, it gets wider at one end and thinner at the other. And what you do is you get your start and finish point, which for me is going to be about here. I'm going to start on the black mark, finish on the blue mark. And so this black mark, blue mark, and the 1, 2, 3, 4 in between are going to be the markers I'm going to use to pencil in and cut my slots. Now these get gradually thinner as you get toward this end, which basically what that does is that maintains the right distance from each string, from the centre of each string, but it also takes into consideration the thickness of the strings at this end to the thinness of the strings at this end. So it makes them all perfectly balanced. And what we do is we set the start and end point being end point there, start point there. The spacing in between gets gradually, I think it's 0.018 difference in millimetres. It's only a tiny fraction, but it means the strings will be spaced out perfectly centre to centre, and it also takes into consideration the thickness of the string, like you've got a thick string there, thin string there. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to get a real sharp pencil, I'm going to get them marked out, and I'm going to start cutting the slots. Doesn't matter if we're too high at the moment, because we can cut the slots as deep as we need them to be. Then we can always come back and file the top of the nut again and polish it, get it off to a fine polish. Today is a good day. The guitar is complete, and I had a stumbling block yesterday when I thought I was going to get it finished. Stumbling block being the Nightmare tremolo system, which I found out is called a free flight tremolo. Now I wouldn't have called it that, but it would rhyme with flight. You can work the rest out yourself. And every time I tried to tune it in, the bridge kept pulling forward no matter what I did, and I thought that adjuster there did it, tightened it up, but it didn't. That adjuster there just sets the height of the bridge or the saddles or the bridge plate. So I had to take all the strings off again, I had to take the scratch plate out and have a look under there. And what did I find? There's a spring missing, there's only 2 springs in there. So I've added another spring in there, free of charge, and I've got it all set up. So this morning I have finished cutting the nut. Got that little jobby there, nice and low, beautiful, good slots in there. And I've set it up, and this guitar now is, in a way, it's a piece of art. Now let's talk about this guitar. It's in 1984, and in 1984 Fender were playing silly boggers a bit. They were experimenting, and some bloke who come in at the head of whatever come and start changing things and looking at other ways to do things. So instead of having a back route, decided to put this tremolo system on there, and it's got a blade across there rather than the 6 screws that it used to have, which I don't like the 6 screw one anyway, rather than the fulcrum one, and invented this piece of weirdness. And it's routed out at the top, pretty much like a Carla tremolo system. It has 3 springs that run under this way. And it works. It doesn't float though. People tell you this floats. No, it doesn't. I've put 3 springs on there, now it's pulling too far back, and this is flush against the body. But it is a working system. Again, you've got 1 tone pot instead of 2 tone pots that works on all 3 pickups, and you've got 1 volume and a 5-way selector like normal. Nice, simple little circuit that does what it's supposed to do. So yeah, that's all fine. So why did this guitar come in? Well, it came in for a refret, and it has been a week. This week has been a week of firsts. It's been a week of firsts and worsts. In fact, it's not been a week of firsts, it's been a week of worsts. A couple of weeks ago, I had the worst ever setup guitar I've ever had in, a Fender Telecaster, which I've sorted out, that's now gone. On the bench over here, I have the worst ever factory fret job. It's an Epiphone special, Les Paul special, where the neck comes off, which is great. The worst ever fret job I have seen on a factory guitar. And this came in, it had the worst ever refret from, and I'll tell you this, from a big name luthier. I'm not going to reveal his name, but he is a big name luthier, supposed to be pretty special. This came in, the edge of the frets were all sticking out terribly, and the frets were flat, they'd not been crowned at all. It was the worst fret job I've ever seen. I would not put my name to it. In fact, I'd give up, I'd quit if my work was that bad. So it was my job to refret it, and refret it I have done. I refret it and set it up properly, but we did hit some problems, and one of the problems was some of the frets didn't seat right, so I had to redo 3 or 4 frets, which was okay, not a big job. But then realised, once I'd filed all the edges of the frets down, we took out some of the lacquer, because the old lacquer job was that bad. So it became apparent that it needed re-lacquering. So me, being the kind person that I am, says, I'll sand it down for notes, you pay for it to be re-lacquered, and I'll take it up to Beaver Guitars, he'll re-lacquer it, and I will sand it for nothing. Well, that's where the problems began, because I was unable to, you can't just sand this way, because you leave lines in there, and I had a guitar in the other week with lines that way, which have been refretted by another big name luthier, by the way, who I also won't mention, and it was a lazy refret, and you'd got all the lines going up there, and it looked terrible. Well, I sanded it that way, between each fret, and it was meticulous work, and I spent about 20 extra hours on this neck, and I couldn't save the decal, so I had to go and buy another decal, and I had this specially made, an exact replica of the original. So if you look at the serial number there, it's all wonky, that's exactly how the original was. Something I did maintain as well, I maintained the name J. Torres on the end of the neck, I kept that on there, and there was also a name on the base of the heel. So I didn't sand over those, I sanded lightly over them, but I kept the names intact, just in case anyone in the future wants to look at this guitar and say, is that an authentic Fender? This is, I absolutely guarantee this one is 100% an authentic Fender. You've got a new decal on there. You can check back my videos and watch the videos all the way through, and you will see that everything is being maintained. So, how is it now? It's pretty good. It really is pretty good. Let me tell you something. I'm not a big name luthier. In fact, I'm not even a luthier. I'm a guitar tech, but I specialise in refrets and fret work. Frets and neck work are my thing. And I'm not bragging when I say my work is as good as anyone's, because my work is as good as anyone's. I absolutely guarantee it. My work is always guaranteed. I don't know I'm good. I know I'm brilliant. And there's a reason why I'm brilliant, and some of you won't believe it, some of you may do. You know, I know my work's brilliant because I put everything I do in the Lord's hands. I'm a born-again Christian, I'm a born-again believer, and if that means nothing to you, absolutely fine, so what? But don't slag me off for my beliefs. I love Jesus because I know Jesus loves me, and I put everything in his hands, and he blesses me. I've been blessed with many gifts, and my gifts are repairing guitars and refrets. So I thank the Lord for that. So that is it. This guitar is done. And as much of a pain in the bum it has been, look at these frets, 2.6mm frets, nice chunky frets, what the owner wanted. We also had the neck re-lacquered, so they've been lacquered over at the edge. You can't feel anything on the edges of these. I will hold the guitar there in case you want to zoom in a little and go and have a look. There you go, I'll hold them there and I will hold them there. And when it came back from Beaver Guitars, I had to re-level them again because some of them had gone out a little bit. So these have been re-leveled since I got it back last week. Been re-leveled, re-crowned and re-polished. I am really, really pleased with how it's come out. Guitar plays beautiful. It's tuned into E flat standard or D sharp standard. Beautiful. So Ashley is going to be so pleased with this. I'm going to also show the nut if you want to pause and do a zoom in on the nut there, how it's cut really straight and glued in really well. So that is it. This one is finished. It is a 1984 Fender Stratocaster. I cannot remember the name of this run of guitars, but they are a special in as they have only two control knobs, one volume, one master volume, one master tone, and the regular 5-way switch. I don't know anything about the pickups. The tremolo is called a free flight tremolo system as far as I remember. I could be wrong, it's something like that. It works. It also has the adjuster screw there for setting the height or the angle of the neck if you ever want to change that. Fender tuners, blah 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 blah. These went back in exactly the same way they came off. I always do that. I always mark which one is which. The string trees are back on there, the tuners are back in. There is the headstock with the new decal. Absolutely brilliant. So that is this one done. I will be pleased. Two reasons I'm glad this is, well, one, I'm glad that Ashley's getting it back because he's going to be really, really pleased with the work. And it's been a learning experience, this one. And leaving all the negativity behind, it has been a great guitar to work on. I've really enjoyed it. And it's all about getting it back to the owner and seeing the owner's face and his reaction and how pleased he's going to be when he gets it, and that is what it is all about. So that's another one done. I'm really pleased to get this one out of the way. I'm pleased that Ashley's coming for it today. I'm sure he's going to absolutely love it. So project finished. So check my page at facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. That's facebook.com/NG17. Also at fretfriend.co.uk. This is Victor Christian signing off. Another project done. So as always, be good to each other and I'll see you soon.